Hey there, welcome back to CMTEQ channel. This is STM32 coding for everyone. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can set up your ADC conversion using the direct memory access method. Basically, in the previous tutorial, we've done the single conversion mode, the continuous conversion mode, and also the interrupt conversion mode. In this method, we're basically going to look at how you can achieve the same thing basically by making use of the DMA, which basically allow you to access the memory to get the ADC data without making use of the CPU. Now, this method, the direct memory access, is particularly important if you are running an application that require high-speed data conversion. As you know, whenever you are making use of the CPU, there might be some hacking and CPU might run into a heap because the CPU is basically dealing with all sort of data conversion from different peripheral. Okay, so if you want your analog to digital conversion to basically not have any sort of interruption or hack whatsoever, then your direct memory access is your go-to function because it will basically bypass the CPU and get the ADC value and store it straight into the memory. Then you can access it from the memory much faster. Okay, great. So before we look at how to set up your ADC conversion using the direct memory access, let's just mention a few key features of the direct memory mode for any other application for your microcontroller. So this is good for high-speed data transfer, so which basically means the DMA can handle large volumes of data very quickly, okay, and more efficiently. So this is obviously ideal for application like audio processing, where you do not want any sort of interruption, sensor data acquisition, right, for motion sensors, and all sort of communication interfaces. Now, because this reduces CPU load simply by offloading the data transfer, right? Because it's going to take from the ADC module directly into the memory. So we're not going to go through the data transfer. Okay, so that basically will be handled by the DMA controller. Okay, so the CPU is basically free to perform other tasks and low power mode. Basically, if you are running an application that really require low power mode operation, then you can save the CPU because the CPU does require a lot of power to basically keep on running. Okay, so if you're using the DMA method, you can rest your PC, your CPU, go into a low power mode while you are basically transferring the data from the peripheral module straight into the memory and access them at the time that of your choosing. Okay, so these will also do automatic data management. So the DMA can basically autonomously manage the data transfer between peripheral and memory. So this includes starting and stopping transfer. And also it's important to note that your DMA can actually interrupt your CPU because it's able to actually call a callback function when the conversion is complete. We're going to have a look at that just now in a moment. So in terms of my ADC conversion using the DMA controller, so basically what happened is the values or the data coming from the potentiometers that are now converted into digital values, basically into these discrete numbers that you see here, then the DMA controller will then take those and store it directly into the memory where I will be able to access them. So let's go ahead and set it up, right? So this is the previous program as we basically made a copy. Okay, so that's the ADC interrupt conversion mode. So I've made a copy. So all the settings are still the same. So what I'm going to do here is basically to change it to what we need them to be. The first one is the ADC common settings that remain the same. The clock prescaler, we do not have to change them. We can leave it as is. If you want to try to change it, that's up to you. You can do the test. It's not going to affect what we are doing here, basically, right? The resolution also, that's going to remain to 12 bits resolution. There is no problem there. Then what we need to do here is we need to enable the continuous conversion mode because the DMA, the direct memory access, run in continuous mode. So which means ADC module must also operate in continuous conversion mode. So we have to set it to enable. Then the next thing is we must basically enable the DMA continuous request mode, right? So click on it and oops, okay. So the enable is grayed out. So we have to first actually set up the DMA to get that enable to actually be grayed, removed from being grayed. Okay, so we must add here on the DMA1. So we need to add the peripheral, because remember, the direct memory access will only operate to peripheral that you enable it to. Okay, so we need to add it, and then we need to select which type of peripheral. As you can see here, there is timer, there is a mem to memory to memory, well, and there is a ADC one. So we're going to click on ADC one, and basically it's enabled DMA on channel 1 and peripheral to memory. So it takes from the peripheral that is handling my potentiometers conversion for the analog to digital converter and straight into the memory. Now, because these need to go straight to the memory, it cannot just go into any memory space. So you need to allocate the memory space in which it's going to go. Now, we're not going to set up this. The DMA controller is basically going to be dealing with this. So basically, the only thing we can specify here is to tell the DMA controller whether our data must be stored in a half word, or in byte. Now, these depend obviously on the variable that is holding our ADC value, because we're running in 12-bit mode. As you know, 12 bits basically is 2 to the power 12. So the highest value we've seen there is what you call it, it is 1495, right? 1495, that basically is okay for us to store 1495 in a half word. Okay, so we're not going to have any sort of variable overflowing or any sort of problem. So we can leave it at half a word. Great. Now, then there is a mode in which the DMA must also operate. Okay, so the normal mode basically just state that it's only going to transfer specific number of data element and then it will stop. But if we want it to operate in continuous mode, right, so we need to change it to circular mode. Circular mode basically means it will just continuously transfer data all the time from the ADC peripheral into the memory. Then we can fetch it from there whenever we want it. Great, so that basically all we need to do. Then we can generate the code. Let's go ahead and generate the code. Everything else here, the ranks, we are still operating on one channel. You are more than welcome to change here if you want to change the sampling time. That will be up to you for that matter. So I'm going to just change this to 181.5. okay, then our clock configuration, we don't have to change anything. We can operate at the same 64 megahertz clock. So this is it. We can then generate the code. Great. So before we can get our coding going to perform the ADC with direct memory access, if you found this tutorial useful, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, right? And subscribe to CMTEQ channel. That will be highly appreciated. I would like you to subscribe and also like this tutorial. Thank you so very much. So basically, the takeaway that you have to take in terms of using the direct memory access is that it gives you real-time performance. Okay, so there is not going to be problem. It will reduce your power consumption because you won't be using a lot of CPU time, and there will be scalability. Basically, it will facilitate the handling of multiple high-speed data streams, okay, at the same time. And that will greatly improve your performance for your application. So now let's look at the code here, what we need to do. So as I've said already, in direct memory access, it also make use of the ADC callback function. So it will call back this function. Great. Since the DMA method also implement a callback function for our ADC, so we can actually use or make use of this function here. So we're going to leave them right there, but we need to start the ADC in DMA mode, right? Just as we were starting the ADC with interrupt mode, we need to start the ADC with DMA mode, basically direct memory access. Right, but this function, unlike the ADC in interrupt mode, actually require more variable as function parameters. So if we run this code right now, you're going to realize that it's going to throw us an error here because the parameters that we are passing in these functions are basically not enough for the function. Okay, so we need to pass more into this function. So let's go back because we are already running into the header file where this function is actually being called. So that's the kind of problem you're going to get if you don't pass the correct variable. So when I hover in here, you can see that it says too few argument. Now the argument that we need to pass in these functions are actually 3 of them. So we need to pass the buffer variable and the size of the buffer. Now, the buffer variable is a variable that will be allocated inside the memory to basically store the ADC value that we're going to get from our peripheral. So we need that buffer variable to be declared. So we're going to basically just use this variable here, or let's copy this and create another variable. Okay, so we're going to say int sensor buffer. Okay, so let's call it sensor buffer, and we're going to give this a size of 1 like that. Okay, now we can take this sensor buffer here and we're now going to pass it into the DMA function as a function parameter, and then we're going to pass the size as well of the buffer, which is 1. Now let's compile this again and see whether our function is going to be satisfied. Right, now it seems like it is now satisfied. Okay, there is no problem. Oops, we're still getting another problem here. We're still getting another problem. Let me just see a DMA incompatible function pointer. There we go. So expected uint32. Okay, so we need to cast this thing because it's expected uint32 pointer. We are basically just passing an integer variable, so that's not going to work. Right, so the error is gone, but we're getting a warning, which is not good. So the data are not going to be right. So we need to cast this right into a uint32, something like this. Okay, then at this point, let's build again and see whether the error or the warning is going to be cleared for us. Okay, seems like the warning is gone, right? Everything is now happy, and we can then go ahead. Before we can run this, right, we need to replace this here also to ADC. Let me just copy the whole line here. So we're gonna copy the whole line and paste it here. Okay, but now the parameter that's doing the ADC get value is going to be the same variable here, but we're not going to make use of this now because these will be only useful for us if we want to get the value. But for now, we just want to demonstrate that the ADC conversion is going to be done and the value is going to be stored into the buffer in a memory location that is half word, as we've already basically set it up in the configuration file. So we can go ahead and run this, load it into our Nucleo board here, and see whether we're going to get that ADC value, right? But as things stand, we are not expecting to get anything here on the LCD display. They're not going to be an ADC value because now the variable, the sensor val does not have anything, we are not going to be getting any value stored into the variable sensor val, but instead our ADC value is going to be stored into the buffer variable, which we need to find a way to actually seize it, right? So this counter is not going to yield us anything because the ADC, you can see it's 0, and as I swing, not going to get anything. Instead, I'm getting all sort of gibberish on my display there. So what we're going to do is to run this in debug mode, right? And then find the value that is stored in this buffer, whether it's going to get us any ADC value. So I'm going to put this into a certain location. I'm going to basically place a breakpoint here. Okay, so let's create a breakpoint, toggle a breakpoint. There is a breakpoint. Now we're going to run this in debug mode and access this buffer here and see whether the ADC value is going to be stored in the buffer variable. So let's go ahead and run this in debug mode. Okay, great. So we are entering debug mode and we need to switch into debug mode. Then we need to find the live expression here. So what we need to check in the live expression is not the sensor variable, but rather the buffer variable. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to add it here. Okay, great. And then we need to run this, right? Now, when we run, we're going to stop at the breakpoint here. Okay, that's where we are. And we expand here. There we go. You can see that there is a value of ADC that is stored in there. Okay, great. So this basically demonstrates that we are getting the value from the ADC and we store it into a memory location of our choosing as we've set it up. Now, if we want to access it, we can always make use of the buffer variable. Where is that function? Oops, did we lose that function? Okay, there it is. ADC conversion completed. So I'm going to bring this back, right? And this one, well, it's going to be this way. Okay, so let me stop the debugger, terminate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically load this, right? So I'm going to load it. And hopefully, we're going to now get the ADC based on the direct memory access value that we are getting. And we can still get that value, okay, using the ADC get value function. Okay, let's go ahead and see how this is going to work for us. Okay. All right, so it is done loading, and number 5, boof, as you can see there, we're getting a value, okay, from the ADC. So we are getting the value just the same way we've performed other method, we are getting the value, okay? So this is how you can achieve this by using the direct memory access, and anytime you want to get your values, you can then just request them. This way you are not making a lot of use of CPU. You basically saving your CPU, and that will improve greatly on the performance of your application in terms of power savings and other data integrity performances that is required. So thank you guys for watching. If you find this tutorial useful, please make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to CMTEQ channel. That will be highly appreciated. Until next time, cheers.